All right, guys. Well, this is episode 60-something with Kyle Selley. This dude, I found him on Bumble Biz, as I've been finding some of my guests lately. And his kind of bio was saying, like, he does fireworks art, something like that. And I was like, what in the heck is fireworks art? If I told you, like, what do you think fireworks art is? I had all different ideas, but I wanted to know for sure what exactly it was. And so he came on the podcast and told me. And we got some other really good stories. Hey, you guys have to listen to this whole thing. I don't think I want to spoil too much. But if you hang out for at least, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, it gets good. Check him out. I'll tag him. Follow him. His art is amazing. It's really interesting. It's cool. It's unique. He's a really smart guy, a fun dude. And I was just lucky to have him on here. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. And don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, all that stuff you're supposed to ask for. That's it. Here we go. Episode 60. I should look it up. What are we at? 64, 65? Yeah, what does it matter? You guys don't care what number it is. Here we go. Boom, schlag, boom. I have to say that too, right? I don't.
Welcome to the Inner Talk Podcast. We'll no topic is off limits. Now here's your host, my daddy, and Roy the Soul. Oh wait, one more thing for me. Thank you for coming to the Inner Talk Podcast. Boom, schlag, boom.
That's how I get, like, probably 95% of my guests.
Really?
Are through Instagram.
How you just follow them and they follow you, and then
Sometimes I don't even follow them. Well, yeah, yes, I will follow them so I can message them, and I'll just slide in them DMs.
really
And be like, hey, what's up? I like your shit. Come check my stuff out. Would you like to be on a podcast type thing?
right, yeah, and that's
Most of
something,
the time.
Like, who really says no to that? You know, like I heard that and I was like, fuck yeah. Even if I don't get anything out of it, I can tell people like, hey, I was on a podcast. You know, like all I got to do is come in here and talk bullshit. It's pretty easy.
Right. You'd be surprised. Some people say no.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Huh. That
Some
is
people
surprising.
say no. Even like people, I won't, we can go ahead and just start this bad boy now, really.
Yeah, sure.
I won't mention her Instagram name or anything, but she has a cheese, Kansas City based Instagram page, and a lot of it has to do with cheese.
It's interesting.
Which is a lot. I mean, if you think about it, there's a niche for every little. There's like little chocolate. I'm sure there's like chocolatiers like that just have chocolate posts in Kansas City. I haven't looked, but I imagine if you can think of little subjects. So there's a couple cheese ones. I think people love cheese.
Oh,
man.
I'm sure there's plenty.
People dig on some cheese.
There's probably some underground cheese world of like people that all know each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably just like the art scene of like, you know, there's 50 people that are all really into cheese, and
right.
It's
a connoisseur type, I don't know. But then there's also the whole, let's go to a fair and get some fried cheese on everything.
Yeah.
But no, so I was checking her out. I was like, hey, you want to come talk, educate me on cheese? Because I don't know. I don't know. I like to eat.
Who really does know about cheese?
Right. I thought that'd be kind of cool. I mean, that's all my podcast is mainly, it's just my selfish avenue of getting people on here that I want to talk to and what I want to learn about.
Yeah.
But I want to learn about some cheese.
Most people, though, right, are like someone interesting, like you said, like someone that's in like a niche like that. Most people are interested in that, at least half of them. Like half the stuff you're interested in, most people would probably be interested in.
Yeah, and if not, well, they're just not going to listen to me.
Right.
It's fine with me. But yeah, so I sent her an invite, and they respectfully and politely declined just because they don't like being on camera, or they don't like being, I don't know, they don't like being in the spotlight, but they have a whole Then I've had a couple people that have like big leagued me, thought they were, I don't know, too big for me, I guess, which I mean, sure, who am I?
Yeah.
But they kind of do it in kind of like a shitty way.
Yeah.
And then I've had a couple people that would say they would, and then they would back out last minute. Something would come up.
Right.
And I'd be like, all right, well, one I'm particularly thinking of is this would have been one of my bigger guests. like as far as numbers wise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about that. I'll have people on with like no followers. It's not about that really. But I mean, you do want to get some people with huge followers because I'm curious.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, he was doing it. We had it set up in the books for like a month and a half, ready to go. And then the day of, I'm like, bro, it's getting pretty close. Haven't heard from you. Are you showing up? He's like, oh yeah, my car broke down.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. I was like, all right. Well, luckily I have a few on back order. You know that are in the can.
Because you want to post one every week. Is that how you do
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, all right, that's cool. When can we reschedule? Like not letting him get out of it. And then he just ghosted me.
Yeah, his car didn't break down, man. There's
No, of course
way.
not.
Yeah,
Of course not. And I still see, I see it because he is a big named Kansas City influencer, quote unquote. So you still see him around. I'm like, yeah, that dude ain't gonna. If he's gonna treat people like that, that ain't
right.
So whatever.
Yeah, I could see it a little bit.
Yeah,
like
I think his name was Cossum J. Hardaway. I'm not naming him out. I'm not calling him out or anything. I think his name was Cossum.
Yeah, I mean, it's shitty to cancel on you like that, but I could see, like, if you're really busy and you don't know if you're going to get anything out of it and you're, like, really successful in your career that maybe you're like, man, sorry, I don't know. But that's definitely, it's not cool to make plans and then cancel. That's fucked up.
Yeah, you're wasting people's time because I've had plenty of people just respectfully decline. I'm like, cool.
Right.
I don't care. I don't take offense to it.
But the lying aspect of it too is like that's.
Well,
just
then you're
like,
wasting my time because if you say no right away, good. Thank you for not wasting my time.
Mm-hmm.
I still like you and still will follow you and still whatever. I don't take offense to it. But now I can find somebody else to fill that time slot.
But canceling the day of, and even if you cancel the day of, like, just keep it real, man. Like, lying like that is so like. And then if you ghost afterwards, it's like obviously he knows that you know that he lied.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not hard to figure out when someone blatantly lies like that.
Yeah. So are we podcasting right now? Are we?
Yeah, we've been going.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is how we do it. I think we sound good. I think your mic levels are about right.
Yeah. Is it like close enough to my face?
Get it? Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Get it as close as you want.
Okay. It feels like too close, but I think that's how it's supposed to be, right?
I get right up on it.
Yeah.
I used to be real right up on it.
Really?
But now I'm just like a couple.
It feels awkward. I guess if you do it every weekend, you're pretty like, yeah.
It just sounds good. You get that sweet spot, and you don't have to talk real loud. I don't know. Everybody's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. It does make it do it like from right here to right here. You're not moving your head very far, but it changes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sensitive mic.
Mm-hmm.
So we just randomly started talking. Your name's Kyle.
My name's Kyle. Kyle Selley.
I found you on Bumble Biz, which I found a couple. The Mensa chick I got off Bumble Biz.
Oh, did you? Cool. Yeah. I honestly, like, everyone that I've met on there, I just swipe right on everyone because I'm like, maybe they'll want to buy some art, like.
I figure a lot of people do that.
Yeah, and I match with almost everyone that I swipe with because most of them are like
networkers.
Yeah,
and even if you don't, and even if you guys match up, you don't have to talk to each other or just Bumble.
And I think most of them are kind of like more. They do whatever kind of like normal job that when I'm on there as an artist, I think that a lot of people, there's not a ton of artists on there. So I feel like people are more likely to be like, well, that's a little different than, whatever analyst or, business person that is your run of the mill people on there. So, but honestly, like
squares and basic bitches,
just normal people. And I mean, I'm not an abnormal person. I just have like a thing that I do that it's not like I'm a full-time artist. That's just
not yet.
Not yet. Hopefully soon. That's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
If I could just make a decent living as a full-time artist, man, like I've made it.
How would you do that? What in your vision, what would that mean to you? Like, what would you be doing as a paid full-time artist that you could live? Like, what would that be to you?
Well, I know a few people who are doing it in Kansas City.
Nice.
And I got lunch with one of them not that long ago, like a few weeks ago, and a lot of it is just knowing the right people and knowing bigger businesses that, like, for instance, there's, interior design firms that they're looking for art for maybe someone just built a new hotel,
Okay.
And so maybe they have like 4 artists that are going to be in this hotel and they want to hire you to make like 50 pieces, at like $500 a piece. So you get half of that up front.
Holla at
And
your
that's
boy.
enough. Yeah, that's enough for you to just quit your job for a couple months and just make art, and then
Cool.
you just keep that going. You
Okay.
have that always coming in the pipeline,
Right.
you know, to where you're never more than a week out of work, and so you just kind of always have at least that's how I've seen other people do it. That's kind of the business model.
Is that what you would want to do? Is that your model you would kind of like to have?
I don't give a shit how I do it as long as as long as I'm doing it.
Right.
As long as if I could, just be making art, and that's pretty much all I do, you know, other than maybe if I had like a couple other side gigs here and there. But if I made 75% of my income off of art, I'd be good after that.
Okay. Art's a pretty vague word. A lot of things can consist of art.
Yeah.
What is, like, when you're saying you make art, like,
Visual art.
yeah, like, so what kind of, even then you can even be, visual art can be pretty broad as well. Like, narrow it down. Like, when you say I'm an artist and I do visual art, what exactly, are you painting like Bob Ross style? Are you taking photographs and, like photographs? Like,
I don't like drawing or painting. Everything else, though, I've done, and I enjoy it. And I'm like formally trained in ceramics. Was my first love. I did that in high
ceramics,
school.
that's an art. I didn't think about that.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I did a lot of pottery.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that I liked art until I was about 16 and I was in high school. And I just fell in love with that, and everyone was pressuring me to go to college, and I did terrible. I hated high school. I still look back in high school. It's dumb.
I do too.
Yeah.
A lot of people reminisce. I'm like, you guys are forgetting how awful it really was.
I enjoyed everything, but I enjoyed that time of my life very much. But high school itself, the actual school part,
That's what I'm
was
saying.
stupid.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
It was bullshit.
The school part was awful.
Yeah.
Especially for an active-minded dude.
Yeah. And I feel like it failed me, man, because I like to learn. You know, I graduated from a private arts, like a good art school with great grades and stuff. You know, like I'm good at school, but I hated high school, and it made me think that I sucked at school. It made me think I didn't like to learn. It made me think I wasn't smart.
It's certainly tailored towards a certain type of person, a certain
Yeah.
type of thinker.
Well, I'm very like rebellious too. So when someone says
Right.
like, you need to learn this, and I'm like, no, I don't like this. Is
Yeah.
dumb. They're like, you have to do it. I'm
feel
immediately
ya.
just like, fuck
Yeah,
you.
I
you
know. I'm unfortunately the same way.
I think I don't think it's unfortunate.
It's it's a double-edged sword. It's fortunate. It's unfortunate because it
Yeah,
can get
that's
you into
fair.
a lot of trouble. It's gotten me into
Me too.
just unnecessary. I'm not even saying trouble like law or trouble with school or anything like that. Just life trouble.
Yeah.
You get that anti-authority, fuck you mentality. It can.
I had that for
it
many
can
years.
It has a tendency to fire back on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it got me in some trouble with the law for a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in high school. I decided to go to college for that, and I went to Johnson County Community College. And I didn't really take it seriously. I was dating a girl at the time that really wanted me to go. My parents really wanted me to go, and I was kind of just like, fine, I'll go to community college. It's gonna cost me $300. I'm gonna have to pay back, but whatever. I'll go to fucking college.
Right.
And I took like philosophy, psychology, and ceramics, and I loved all of them, and I got
cool.
all A's. And I was
Nice.
like, holy shit, I guess I like college. Like high school is dumb.
Right.
And I fucked around in junior college, but I made a lot of really good art. I did okay in school. I got my associate's degree, and then I got more serious once I went to the Art Institute, and I went into the sculpture department because I'd taken some sculpture classes too at JCCC.
Boy, that'd be fun. That'd be fun
Yeah.
to be good at.
Yeah. Well, I did a lot of classic sculpture at JCCC, but once I started at KCAI, our first assignment was to make a drawing with an unusual canvas or drawing instrument. And so I did this series, and I used Fireworks for all of them, and they all turned out really terrible except for one. Was like I saw it was like a test piece, but I just saw like there was something there, and I just ran with that, and I've pretty much been doing that since.
Fireworks?
Yeah, I used Fireworks for all of my. I studied abroad in Australia for a semester.
Oh, cool.
And I didn't really. The fireworks are super illegal there, but other than that, I've pretty much used Fireworks for all of my artwork. Since then, I've got like several different methods now.
What does that mean, so a couple people have asked me who I'm having as my guest. And I said, I don't know. I said he does some kind of artwork with fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said it out loud, I was like, but I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know how to explain. I go, I guess he just maybe takes pictures of fireworks and then puts them as visual art on a wall or something. I don't know. I go, he's gonna have to explain it. So
I've got
what should I tell people? What do you tell people? Hey, what is firework art?
I think that's part of what I like about it is that the process is so interesting. Like I videotape the process of it, and that's almost an art in itself. That's the first thing that draws people in is watching me do it. But I have a lot of different methods. I mean, I take pictures of them and overlay them like in Photoshop. I've done digital imagery that way. I blow up ceramics, and it creates kind of a. I mean, can you pull it up on the computer? I can show you some of them. I use like smoke bombs and stuff.
Yeah,
and make a lot of colorful, vibrant stuff. If you go to my website, I have pretty much all of it there. Because sometimes it can be difficult to explain it really. With that, like, it would take me 5 minutes to explain it. It would take 30 seconds to just show you.
Well, it's a podcast. Most people are listening. However, if we do have some people out there.
That's true. I guess, I don't know. Maybe, though, like, if you understand it, maybe it'll be easier to talk about it for the people that are listening.
Maybe.
I mean, if it's too much trouble, you don't got to pull it up. I can explain it.
Oh, well, you explain it while I'm pulling it up. We'll do it at the same time.
All right. So it's a lot of different layers, and I use different fireworks that kind of spin on the ground that leave different, like, residue marks. And then I also use smoke bombs for color. So if you go to KYLESELLEY.com.
Kyle, what is it?
SELLEY.com. And so then if you go under
Whoa, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's all. That's on paper. That's all just firework residue on paper.
Oh, check that out.
Yeah, that's a still from a video.
Is that ceramic right there?
That's ceramic, yeah.
Wow.
That's the digital imagery I was talking about.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
How did that? Wow.
So if you go up there to firework art and you go down to performance, if you go to the first one.
Let me put this on.
Oh, cool. I can see myself.
Okay, so go to where?
So if you just go to the first one, that's my most recent stuff I've been doing.
Crackle painting?
Yeah, I just started that about a week or two ago.
There you go. What are those, like black cats or something? Type?
It's like a crackle bomb, that like just goes.
Oh, yeah.
But you can hold it, and it like shoots it out. So I've been holding it and painting with it.
Are you painting a certain design? Do you have something in mind, or are you just kind of just going all over the place with it?
I'm just pretty intuitive with it and make. I mean, it's all abstract. Everything I make is abstract, so I'm not really trying to really portray any one thing. I'm just kind of, and it's a limited amount of time, so I just kind of do what feels right, because if you overthink it, you only have so much time.
Right, it's going about 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that painting's not done yet, but that's what I have so far.
Oh, that's cool. And then you got a bunch of other videos on here. Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow. How did you did you accidentally found out? You said your teacher gave you a project.
I wouldn't say it was an accident. I had to use something unusual. I've always loved fireworks since I was a kid, and I've always had stockpiles of them. And so I just tried it, and I guess it was kind of an accident that I found one that worked, because after that I just kept going with it and just kept, I always keep a notebook with me, and ideas would pop in my head. I'd write them down. I'd try it. Some work, some don't. And, after doing it for so many years, you figure out what works and what doesn't, and you take something that was, worked okay, and now I've perfected it to a thing that is where I want it, and there's less and less experimentation, and I have more and more control over the process. So,
where do you get your fireworks?
I'm actually sponsored by Dominator Fireworks.
Oh, that's what your shirt is, Dominator Fireworks.
Yeah, they sent me a bunch of swag and like $400 worth of fireworks, but I use a lot of big blue smoke bombs. They sent me a bunch of those and a bunch of like the different ones that I use, but The cheap ones, I go to Mike's Fireworks because they're open year round on like Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, you know, the Dominator sells like shipping containers full of fireworks. So if I just need like $20 worth of fireworks, I'll go to Mike's Fireworks for the small stuff.
So we're in Missouri here, where they sell. You can buy them all year round here.
In Riverside, yeah. Riverside's like a weird place. That I don't know if you've ever been there during 4th of July with all the tents everywhere.
Riverside. Oh, is that by the casino?
It's north of the river off of like Vivian Road.
Vivian 291 maybe? Up there?
Like Vivian and 9 Highway kind of is where Mike's Fireworks is. It's off of there.
Okay.
Maybe it's 291. I don't know. You get too far out of like proper Kansas City and I don't really know that much.
Isn't that so funny? That's so funny. People from Kansas City will say they're Kansas City from Missouri, but really once you get them outside of Kansas City,
they don't know where
they don't really know. They're not really Missourians anymore. They're just Kansas Cityans. It's funny. But then you get a Missourian, like a rural Missourian, and you get them into Kansas City. It's a little bit different for them too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can really tell.
Well, they know like actual Missouri because everything, just to get some groceries, they got to drive like 30 minutes or whatever.
Minimum to go to a Walmart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I know like I-70 and I-35.
Right. That's okay.
Those.
That's all right. Where are you from exactly? You said you went to Johnson County Community College, so I imagine you're from.
I'm from, I was born in Kansas City, and then I spent most of my childhood in Olathe.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived in Olathe with my parents until I got my associate's degree, and then I moved to Kansas City when I started at KCAI.
Right on.
So I've been living here since like 2015 in like the Midtown-ish area.
Nice. It's a good spot. I love it down there.
It really is.
Yeah. I miss it down there.
I live now like over kind of by Rockhurst.
Okay.
But it's close enough. It's cheaper rent and it's close enough that I'm still buy everything. Like,
yep.
I couldn't imagine
moving.
A lot
of artists live over there, right?
Yeah.
That's a good spot. Kansas City is a great artists spot, like city for artists.
It really is. Yeah, for visual art, performing art, for any of the arts, Kansas City is especially for the size of it. You know. Yeah, and I like that because it's. If you were in New York, it's impossible to know like all the people in the Kansas City art scene, I guess,
Right.
But in Kansas City, or in the New York art scene, rather,
right,
if you live there. Yeah, but in Kansas City, I don't know everyone in the art scene, but I know of most of them, and I do know at least acquaintance, like, a large percent of them, and I like just got out of school.
Right.
So if you stick around here for 20 years, you get pretty embedded in the scene, and you can really do something with that.
Have you met, or is there other firework artists like yourself out there, or is this like a kind of a brand new thing, or has it been done before?
There's not a lot. It's been done before with a guy named Saigo Shang, who's like...
That's a cool name.
Yeah, he's Chinese. He's my favorite artist of all time, and he originally started with like gunpowder, and he would make these drawings on paper, and then he'd put like a board over it and light it, and it would make this big explosion, but there'd be like a gunpowder drawing. And he's done he did like the 2014 Beijing Olympics. He did all the fireworks. He did a thing called Sky Ladder that a lot of people know about. It was like the string of fireworks that was a ladder that went up like into the sky. It has to do a lot with like ancestors and stuff, but he's like the main guy that does stuff with fireworks. I mean, he's like a big name artist. And but other than him, I've found like 3 other people that are kind of using fireworks in their art, or that are. But none of them that are really like super serious about it, I guess.
Okay.
I think it's maybe a little bit more of like a hobby for them, for like the people that I've talked to. I don't know if they necessarily want to make a career out of it or not. And they do different stuff than me, which is crazy that there's like that many ways to use fireworks.
Right.
Like the things that people think of it's wild.
Yeah. How do you even come up with some of your ideas? They just come to you, or are you thinking about this stuff all the time? Like when you're driving around, are you like thinking, I wonder what would happen if I threw a firework there? Or
you know what, man? Like I thought of so many ideas when I was in college, like then I was thinking about it all the time because that was my main thing. You know, now I have a million other things going on. You know, I'm not spending 75% of my time doing something with art.
Right.
But in that amount of time, I filled my notebook so full that I don't really have to worry about coming up with new ideas.
Oh, nice. You've already done the ideas?
Yeah, and they still like that crackle one that I was showing you. I just happened to have, like, Dominator sent me a bunch of random fireworks, and they're like, let us know if you find anything you like. And that one, I just, like, I didn't know what it was going to do, and I was just with my friends. We were barbecuing and drinking. I was like, let's light this off, and I saw that it kind of just stayed in one spot, but did the crackle thing, and I was like, oh, shit, I could probably hold that, you know?
Cool.
So I just did it. It's random for the most part now. I don't really try to think of them, but randomly every few months I do, you know.
Are you like a fireworks expert, kind of? Like, do you put fireworks shows together? Is that something?
No, you know, Dominator sent me to Atlanta like a few months back, and I talked to some people that did do stuff like that. I used to think, like, I had messed around. There's programs you can use to choreograph different firework displays, but the more I looked into it, like, if you do that, it's a lot of, like, marketing your stuff and only a little bit of actually choreographing firework displays. And the people, like, on the ground that set them up, I talked to a guy that did that, and there's not a lot of creativity involved in it. And I'm definitely not a fireworks expert. I have, like, a niche where I use it to make visual art. And I used to think I wanted more than that as a career, like with fireworks. But once I got kind of closer to people that are actually doing that, I think, you know, I don't know what I want as a career other than just making art full time. But I don't think I really want to step further into the fireworks world. I think I just want to be this weird guy on the outside using it to make visual art.
Have you had any close calls? Any, like, I haven't really counted, but you looks like you have all your digits.
Yeah.
Your eyeballs, you got both of them. I don't see any scarring. You got your hair, your eyebrows are there. Like,
there's been like a few minor stuff. I mean, I've burnt my hands a lot of times holding like smoke bombs and stuff, which is kind of cool because when you burn your hand with a smoke bomb, like it'll shoot out the side sometime and like burn your hand like pink or something. Like I've had like bright blue burns on my thumb.
Nice.
And when I was in school, I've had them like sometimes they'll like shoot different ways. One time it hit one of my professors, but he was cool about it. It didn't hurt him or anything. It just scared him. It's really about it. I've lit off like some M80s in clay before, and that'll like kind of just throw clay like ricochet everywhere, but it doesn't really hurt you that much. And I'm pretty safe about it. Like that video I showed you with the crackle thing, I had like, as I walked away from it, I dumped it in water. I had like a bucket of water. I had like 3 fire extinguishers. Like I'm pretty...
You're ready to go. You're ready. You're prepared in case shit hits the fan.
Yeah, well, I have like literally $400 or 400 pounds rather worth of fireworks in my studio as I'm working. So I can't afford for there to be like a big fire, you know?
Yeah. Is that legal to have that much in a...
Maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like in a studio. Yeah. I wonder what the...
I've got a pretty big studio, so like, you know, they're over in the corner in plastic tubs. Like, I mean, it would take like...
Oh, okay. So you've got...
Yeah.
I mean, you're safe. I imagine you have all the precautions. I guess I really wouldn't worry about the legality of it. I guess I'm just thinking from an aspect of, security wise, like it gets so hot here, and if something were to happen...
It stays really cool. My garage is like also my basement basically.
Okay.
So it's like foundation walls. Like it stays really cold down there. They're in plastic tubs. Like I've thought about it a lot, and it would take like a full on fire. Like my place would have to like go.
And even
up
then,
in
it's
flames.
already screwed. Right. That would just add at least something cool to the fire.
Yeah.
You'd probably want that if your house burned down.
May as well, right?
I mean, you need some kind of silver lining. A badass $400 worth of firework.
Yeah, I'll pull it off, or I'll like
sponsored by Dominator.
Yeah, I'll fake it as like I did this on purpose. This is my newest art piece.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But then you probably wouldn't be able to collect the insurance on it.
Yeah, I also live in a duplex, so my neighbor might be pissed.
Yeah, hopefully they're insured too.
Yeah, I got renter's insurance, so
you're fine. You're covered.
Yeah, I don't worry about it that much.
Oh yeah.
Most of what I do really is like not dangerous stuff. Like I've dabbled, like I said, with like M80s, and like the new like the crackle ones are kind of dangerous, but most of them are like So how I've been working for a long time, like perfecting it, is I'll paint the canvas black, and then I'll use smoke and then just stuff that moves around on the ground and changes colors and spins. Nothing like really dangerous. Occasionally one of them will like zip over there, but that's it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's they end up looking very like celestial, like outer space kind of. Yeah, that's just been one way that I've been working, but I'd say that's like the most advanced. Like that's the one that I've honed and perfected the most, I guess.
Okay.
And I've done like giant installation ones before that are like in the corner that are like 18 foot long, all the way down to ones that are like a 12 by 12. And I've been working with like 4 foot by 5 foot ones lately. So.
What's your favorite thing do you prefer a certain style that you do as far as like the pictures with the Photoshop or the painting with it, if you would call it that?
Yeah, I call them painting. I call them Firework residue paintings, even though I don't use any paint. But
what's a style? It's a type of paint.
Yeah. I mean, how else do you describe it, really?
I don't know.
Like that's. Yeah.
I mean, it's a painting motion. I figure paintings like that, not necessarily, whatever. Ink or whatever.
Yeah, it's ironic because I don't know how to paint at all. Like I'm not good at it. I don't like to do it, so I've never really learned it.
It's hard.
Yeah, I've tried it, and drawing too. I took a charcoal drawing class, and I just didn't like it. I took a painting class, and I just didn't really like it. And I was just like, well, why would I pursue learning these things?
Yeah, if you're not good at it, why? If it's not fun for you.
It's a huge misnomer that people think that you just have this art thing or you don't. Like, that's really not the case, man. Like I'm pretty good at ceramics now, and I can use some creativity and stuff. I mean, I'm blowing them up with fireworks and stuff. But
that's funny.
Yeah, but it took a long time to learn how to do pottery. You're not just that's a skill.
You're not just gifted at it right away.
No, almost no one. I mean, some people learn faster than others, but that's a skill that you learn. Just like drawing or painting is a skill that you learn. And then once you understand the fundamentals, then you bring your own kind of creativity to that.
Oh, cool.
It's the same as anything else, I'm sure with like coding or something, there's some amount of creativity in that, but you got to learn how to code first. I'm a creative person, but I couldn't just go be a creative coder.
Right.
I don't know how to fucking code.
Me neither.
I don't know how to fucking draw, Some people, I guess, take to it better than others, but I hate when people say like you either are just born an artist or you're not, because I didn't even know that I liked it till I was like 16, 17,
What were you like? What were you into before that?
Smoking weed.
Yeah. No, like sports or
I played
video
football.
games or anything?
I was into sports until like by the end of my sophomore year of high school. I got busted for pot, and then I decided I didn't really like football anymore. I kind of became friends with like the popular kids and decided they were all kind of douchebags, and then became friends with like the stoners because most of my friends didn't want to be friends with me anymore because I got in trouble. And then I don't know, I was kind of into cars. I worked at a car shop. I was just into hanging out with my friends and having a good time and not taking life too seriously, I guess. And I never thought I'd be anything more than a stoner mechanic, and then I found something that I really liked, and
dude, that's cool.
Just went with it.
Dude, not that there's anything wrong with being a stoner mechanic, but I mean, I would some people want more than that.
I think I always did. I just didn't know what I wanted, I think a lot of people just never figure out what they really want, I feel lucky that I found something like that, because a lot of people, and I just stumbled across it, I wasn't even smart enough to go look for it. But
wow, how lucky.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that they just never quite find that,
Yeah. Can anybody get into kind of pottery? Like, is that something, like if you just want to try get a wheel and clay, or do you have to go to like a class and learn a whole bunch of stuff? Is it practical for people to check out? Like, is that something you suggest to people? I mean, like a cool hobby? It looks kind of interesting. I'd like to have a mug.
Hey, hit me up on Instagram. I'll teach you guys.
Yeah.
Anyone that wants to learn, yeah.
What is your Instagram?
Kyle Selley Artworks. I think it's Kyle Selley _artworks. But yeah, you can learn at the Clay Guild over in Waldo. I think it's cheap. I think it's like $50 a year.
Oh, wow.
And you have access to the whole studio. I don't even think you have to pay for firing. And if you want really high end, you can go, and they have classes there too. Or you can go to Belgier Crane Yard. They cost $30 a month to fire everything and all that too. But you could, I would say I would recommend, it's probably a good idea to take at least one class and then go with it. But you could probably learn off of YouTube.
I was just gonna say,
because I've taught people pottery before, and it's such a like feeling kind of thing, you know. It's not really it's so much of like, I'm like, okay, this is how I do this part, you know, and then someone else uses, maybe I use my middle finger to, when you get it centered, you have to poke a hole in the middle and then pull it out. Maybe someone else uses 2 fingers or does it different. That could work, you know, if that's more comfortable for them.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So it's hard to really.
It's not necessarily science. That's why it's an art, right?
Yeah, right. Like, so, yeah, your teacher doesn't really do much other than, because there's not a lot of like strict do or don'ts, you know. It's so much off a feeling.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I can get into that. Do you ever get when you first kind of started getting involved with pottery, did you ever go down like any kind of rabbit hole and like checking out ancient pottery and the kind of stuff that has been found and what they've learned from pottery from like, you know, hundreds to thousands of years ago?
You know, art in general, I've never been that interested in the super old stuff, just because I feel like it's a little bit more craftsman based, which is fine, you know. I mean, like Rembrandt and Caravaggio and a lot of those old school painters, I don't think there was a ton of creativity involved. There was some, you know, in trying to get the emotional stance or facial expression or whatever they were trying to convey. But for the most part, the Catholic Church was making that painting, and they were just kind of the craftsmen. And more, I like more contemporary art where the artist is making the art for them, you know, not necessarily for clientele. And I think I'm just naturally that way because, like, I never looked up that stuff when I first got into pottery.
Mm-hmm.
I liked just going in there and just not even knowing what I was going to make, you know, just taking a hunk of clay, putting it on the wheel, and just start throwing something, and then it just ends up however it ends up.
What would it usually be? I mean, like a vase, a bowl, a mug, or...
I didn't make a lot of mugs, so I don't really like making handles that much. It's a different step.
What do you mean? You have to make a mug and then you have to make a handle separately?
Yeah.
Without a wheel, probably?
Yeah.
And you don't like that?
It's like, it's one of those things that it gets so delicate. You know, there's parts where I have to like hold my breath kind of when I'm doing it. It's like,
because you're getting it so thin or what?
Yeah, when you get it really thin, it gets really delicate.
Right. Is that like a master pottery? What would you call it? Is that a word? A pottery man? What?
Potter.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, master potter.
Is a master potter really pride themselves on like how thin they can get a lip without it snapping or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, lids. You have to very carefully measure lids, and pottery.
I didn't think about lids.
Mm-hmm. It shrinks too. Like when you have it wet and you set it aside, it shrinks, I think, like 15% as the moisture leaves it. So you have to make the lid with the clay that has, you know, roughly the same amount of moisture. You got to make it at the same time, measure it to fit, but you can't take it off and actually fit it in there to check because it'll mess it up if you touch it while it's wet. So it's all measurements and all getting it like just perfect, and you got to wait till it dries to see if it actually fits. And maybe it's a little bit too big and you got to sand it, and you can get super technical with it, and I've just never been that interested in being like a master potter, you know. I just like to have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, I think a master potter is more of a craftsman, and you can be super creative with that. But to get to the level to where you're a master potter, that's a craft, you know?
Okay.
Which nothing's wrong with that. I'm just not myself like as interested in that aspect of it. I mean, I'm a pretty good potter, and I'm good with that. I don't need to be a great potter, you know?
Yeah. What do you like to make?
Well, lately, so I've been making, you saw one of those ceramic pieces up there on my website, but I have this idea to make, well, I've been making like little sculptures where I've just taken like kind of balls of clay and just put fireworks in it and just blown it up more and more until I feel like it's the right
Before it's hardened, you do it just.
Yeah, I do it when it's wet.
Okay.
But I have this idea to take larger, just kind of cylindrical vases, like about yay high, and then blow a bunch of holes in the top. Not a bunch, maybe like 3, 4, or 5, somewhere in there. And then I want to put vined plants in the bottom so that as it grows, it'll kind of like start to crawl out of all those holes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so I think I'd like to, I'm waiting until, I haven't done a ton of ceramics lately because I can do that with the garage door closed. When I use a lot of smoke and stuff like that, I got to keep the door open.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a solo show last year in March. And so like January and February, I was making all of these paintings, you know, with the smoke and everything, with the garage door open, and I had fans going, and I was freezing my ass off working. But I had to finish it. So now I'm planning on, like, I'm making all of that stuff that I can have the garage door open with now. And the ceramics and stuff, I think once it starts to get cold, I'm going to get more into the ceramics.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Just so there's like seasons,
Right.
artwork seasons.
It is for me because I just cannot do it inside. Like the facility you would need to light off smoke bombs inside and not have the place filled with smoke, you know.
You have to have some pretty heavy industrial fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I have like one industrial fan that shoots it out the garage, and that's it. So.
And then your neighbors must love you.
My neighbor is so cool, dude. Like
neighbor. Well, do you have more than one neighbor though? I mean,
I have one neighbor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a neighborhood?
Yeah, I have a
neighborhood. You know what I mean?
neighborhood.
Doesn't that smell up the neighborhood quite a bit?
Yeah, but I live kind of in the hood, so like people don't call the police or anything. Like
I know that. I'm just saying. I wonder if they're annoyed by like, oh, there's that crazy artist. Smells like sulfur again.
Well, I'm definitely like, I'm cool with like 2 of my neighbors, and one of them was telling me that like, cause she's cool with some of the other neighbors that I don't really talk to, but I live in a pretty much all black neighborhood, and I'm like the crazy white kid, basically, is what they say about me. But I only talk to a few of them.
Right.
But I haven't had any real complaints, so. And it doesn't really smell up the whole neighborhood. It smells up my house.
Yeah.
And probably my neighbors a little bit, but she never says anything.
Well, that's cool.
One time, this really happened. One time at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd been out with my friends. I'd been drinking a little bit. They dropped me off at my place. I came home. I wasn't tired. And so I was like making like a stencil for this art project I was doing. And I started cutting metal with a Sawzall at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I just forgot that I had a neighbor.
Right.
And so she had like a guy over, and I heard from like across the wall, like in the basement, like, you about done with that? I was like, oh shit, man, I'm so sorry. Like, you know, I forgot, like, I'm an asshole. I'm so sorry.
Right.
And the next day I saw her, and I was like, hey, I'm so sorry about last night. And she was like, I don't care at all. It doesn't bother me. And I was just like, really? Like, well, I'm sorry. And she's like, you don't got to be sorry. I don't care. I'm like, how do you not care? Like, I don't know. Best neighbor, I guess, for an artist that makes stuff with fireworks.
She couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah, I lucked out.
A lot of people might be pretty upset.
Yeah, I would be, you know. I'd be mad at me.
Right.
I don't know how she wasn't.
Well, good for her.
Yeah.
Stay there as long as you can.
That's why I want to go to grad school in Australia, and I'm waiting 2 or 3 years, mainly because of the place that I have, because I have such a big studio space, and I can afford to live there on my own.
You want to go back to Australia?
Yeah. Oh, I loved Australia, man.
How come you went there to begin with? Like, why did you choose Australia?
Because it was so beautiful, honestly.
Just one of those places you've always wanted to go and then took advantage of it, or what?
Yeah, well, like, so KCAI has deals with other schools, international schools. And so Australia was one of them. So basically I had like 6 or 7 different schools to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in, are you familiar with Tasmania?
It's
like
not a whole lot. No, that's an island, right?
Yeah, it's off of. So I actually have it tattooed right
here.
Oh,
dope!
So
yeah,
that's
look at
like
that.
if this was Tasmania, Australia would probably be like about this big. Like,
okay.
It's an island off of Australia that's not, you know, it's much bigger than Hawaii, but it's not like huge.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, it was just so goddamn beautiful. I picked there, and it ended up working out because the school I went to was like, wasn't a terrible school, it was okay, but the workload compared to KCAI was like nothing. Like, I worked half as hard probably as I did at KCAI, and I got a 4.0 there. And so it was just like, and I didn't have a worker's permit, so it was just like a vacation almost.
Really?
Yeah, dude, it was like the best.
What'd you do? What'd you get into there?
A lot of road trips.
Road trips on an island? How big? I mean,
it takes 5 hours to drive from the south side where I was living in Hobart to the north side of the island. And where I was living in Hobart, I think there's like 250,000 people there.
okay.
So it's like half the size of Kansas City, and it's
Right.
like the only city there. Everything else is just, little hillbilly towns and
What are
stuff.
the people like? Are they white, Aboriginal?
No, they're all white people. They're just like us, dude. There was like such minimal amount of culture shock there. Like they were all like,
On
yeah,
Tasmania Island?
yeah. I mean, in
Or just-
Australia
are
in
they-
general, they watch our TV shows. Like they knew more about American culture than I do. They were like, "Did you hear Drake's dating this person?" I'm like, "Oh, you listen to Drake?" And they're like, "Yeah." Like, have you seen this TV
I'm
show?
talking like the rural people.
Oh, I didn't talk
like-
to them.
No?
Nah,
I want to know what the rural Tasmania Island people are like. Or what is it, Tasmania Island?
yeah. Well, Tasmania is known
Just
for having
Tasmania.
them, and they're basically like white trash. Like it's not like here where you have like ghetto neighborhoods and stuff like that. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe you do in like Melbourne and Sydney, you probably do, but there, in the small like white trash trailer parks and stuff, they call them bogans. And I'd seen a few of them, but they basically wear like their go-to is like basketball shorts and like wife beaters. And,
Perfect.
like flip-flops.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds like a bogan to me.
Yeah, they call them bogans. They're, I sat next to a drunk one at an Australian football game. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like a super right trash person, basically.
Yeah. Do they
Yeah.
have do they have their own southern accent? Like,
Nah, they sound, I guess maybe they just have like a little bit of a thicker Australian accent, They just sound a little extra Australian than the rest of the Australians.
right? That's interesting. Never
Yeah.
thought about rural rednecks in other countries
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
fighting kangaroos and shooting Tasmanian devils.
Yeah. It's like I know I have some friends from England, and I know the ghetto people there. They're mostly white dudes, and they wear like track pants, and like I guess they dress like Italians in New York, like the
Okay.
ghetto Italians in New York.
I was thinking Russians, but yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe that too.
Yeah.
Probably that. Whatever stereotype you prefer, but
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's what it is in England.
Yeah.
They dress like Russians and Italians in New York.
Probably a lot of Russians there, though,
Yeah,
in England.
probably. I don't know. I
What-
want to go.
To Russia?
No, to
No, I
England. And fuck Russia, dude. It's cold as hell.
Yeah. Who wants to go to
Putin's
Russia?
scary.
Yeah. No one wants to go to Russia. So you want to go back to Australia? You want to go back to the island, or do you want to go to Australia proper?
I don't think I want to go to that island because I want to at least give it my best shot to like be as rich and famous as I possibly can off of art. And that's just never going to happen unless I move. I want to go to Melbourne. There's a big school there called the Victorian College of the Arts. And I just feel like I got to at least give, if I go to grad school there, I'm then kind of embedded in the art scene there. So if grad school takes 2 years and then I take another, 4 to 5 after that, I want to give it at least a shot, to see if I can kind of make it in that bigger art scene.
Okay.
And if I don't necessarily make it big there and then I move to Brisbane or I move back to Tasmania, and like I said, ultimately, like if I just make, a decent living, $60,000 a year off of making art, I can die happy.
You want to be an Australian? Do you want to be?
Yeah, I want to live in Australia.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful there, man.
That's what you want to do? Like, just finally, you just want to peace out America and just be an expat and take over Australia?
I just
Be an Australian, huh?
Well,
I dig it. That's cool. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Everyone lives on the beach. I fucking love. I've always wanted to live on the beach.
Is
I
it
hate the
expensive to
cold.
live out there?
No, because kinda. I did okay when I was there because the exchange rate is like 1 to 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over there with like a couple grand and I had like $3,500 or something, to last me the whole time there. So I had plenty of money. So I guess it depends. If you go over there with a decent amount of US dollars,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that bad. And stuff costs a little bit more there, but you get paid a little bit more. And like the benefits once you're a citizen. Like I had friends there. One of them I went to art school with, and then her boyfriend, they lived together, and he was in music school, and they got paid by the government to go to school.
Oh, nice.
So like they, could afford to live in a cheap place and just eat cheap and get by, and they didn't have to have jobs, which is crazy. And it's like universal health care, and there's benefits of being a citizen there.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And everyone's interested in you because you're American, and they heavily follow American culture. So,
are you like a sexy foreigner? Because you got like a, like, you know what I mean? Because you're different. You got an accent, like an American accent must go a long way. Look what we do to an Australian accent over here. You can get a chick over here that's like a hard 6.
Yeah, but
if she's got that thick Australian accent, it's like, dang, that girl's a 10.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, probably. I mean, that's probably true for like almost anywhere, right?
Right.
If you got the foreign accent,
yeah,
like, it helps.
And they speak English, so
that's the other.
That's
reason.
the trick. That's the trick.
Yeah, that's what's so dope about it, though, is it's like on the other side of the planet, but it's not that much different than here. But also, when you go there, there's there's lots of Indian people there because India's not that far away. I met people from all over the world there because in Southeast Asia, a lot of those countries like Malaysia, India, Indonesia, if you're born with the luxury of getting a higher education, you almost never do it in your home country. You go somewhere else like Australia. So they have a lot of international students. So you got a lot of people from all over the world because people will come there, go to school there, and then they end up staying.
Yeah. Because it's so beautiful there. Even though everything can kill you.
Actually, in Tasmania, it's most of the wildlife is pretty tame. Like,
really? Dude, what about like spiders and snakes? I mean,
okay, I did see one crazy spider that was like the size of my hand, and it was bright orange.
No way, that would freak me out.
Dude,
bright orange?
It's pretty terrifying.
The size of your hand.
It was pretty close.
Right.
Yeah, its abdomen was probably like that, and it was gray, but it had all these weird patterns on it, and then its body was bright orange.
Were those eggs, or is it always orange?
I think it's always orange.
Wow, freaky.
Yeah, I didn't Google it or anything, but I know that it scared the shit out of me, and I tried to kill it. We found it on top of this mountain we were hiking, and we finally got up to the top, and I just remember this girl, she just like hyperventilated for a second and just went like like that, and like was pointing, and we all looked and we all jumped up, and I immediately like took the stick and was gonna kill it, and they stopped me and they like named it and stuff. It was stupid, but
why wouldn't they let you kill it?
I don't know. They didn't want to like kill the wildlife in a wild.
It's a spider.
I know, right? It's a
spider.
Fucking spider.
There's millions of those things.
Yeah, right, especially in Australia.
Yeah.
But where I was going with that is the thing about Tasmania is that it's kind of insulated, and that because on the coast and stuff, in Australia and the big continent, there's not that much stuff that can kill you, and most of it comes from the outback, right? Like they get close to the coast, like the tarantulas and shit. They don't really have that in Australia or in Tasmania because there's no outback, because the center of it's kind of dry, desert-ish, but it's not like the outback because it's not big enough to have that.
What's the outback? What's the difference? Like, what do you mean the outback and
the outback in Australia? Like
I don't know what is it. I didn't know there was a.
You never heard of the outback?
I've heard of the outback, but I don't really know what the term means. I just figured it was.
It's like the desert. Like it's like
it's desert.
It's like when Steve Irwin was out like picking up giant snakes in the desert in Australia. That's like the outback. There's no like desert area in Tasmania.
Oh, so desert is outbacky?
Yeah, like the bush, like there's nothing but like a few bushes and sand dunes, and it's just like desert.
Huh.
Yeah. But
I guess I don't know a whole lot about Australia, and it's like, I don't know, regions and what they're like. Do they have mountains?
Either.
I mean, you said that you were mountain climbing or on top of a mountain? Like
it was a small mountain. But there is a really big mountain in the center of Tasmania, and that area is like dry, but it's not desertish. So basically, like, it never gets deserty enough for there to be very many dangerous animals. Like most of them are pretty. Like there were these. There's possums there, but they don't look like our possums.
Oh really? They're different.
They look more like monkeys, man. Like it's weird. They're like. They look like lemurs, kind of. And They
Okay.
have like this little pink nose, but you
Yeah.
can feed them and stuff, and they're everywhere.
They're cool.
Yeah, and there's little. It's harder to feed them. They're more skittish, but there's koala bees everywhere too.
What's a koala bee?
It's like a little kangaroo. It's a kangaroo. It's about this
Ah,
big.
no way.
Yeah,
That sounds adorable.
they are so adorable. It's like a 3-foot tall kangaroo, and those and the possums are just everywhere, man. It's crazy.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, like they're all like I would have to walk up this big hill when I would take the bus to the art school down by like the wharf, and then I'd have to come back to the apartments where I lived in, and I'd have to walk up this hill. That was probably like a 7 or 8 minute walk, and no joke, you would see at least 2-3 wallabies and like probably 4 or 5 possums every time.
Wow.
They're just everywhere.
Yeah, one of the very few things I know about Australia is they hunt cats there,
Do they really?
like house cats. Like they're feral.
I thought that was just a Asian thing.
Oh man, they hunt the heck out of them in Australia. Like if you
Really?
get an Australian hunting magazine, there'll be pictures of dudes like you'd see here with a buck. Like
Mhm.
you're taking a shot of holding your big buck. They'll have that in Australia hunting magazines of them with like dead cats lined up that they killed
Do they hunt them like in the city?
everywhere.
Like they're feral cats like out in the
Oh yeah, big problem.
really?
Mhm. Australia's one of those
Huh.
weird places where they've tried to eradicate different problems by bringing in other species of animals,
Right.
and then it's just blown up to where they just have all these crazy animals there without any predators.
Right.
I think it started out with like, I want to say it was some kind of frog or something that they brought in to take care of a insect or something like that.
No shit.
And then they were like, oh shit, we got to do something about these frogs. And then they brought something else in. They're like, well, we got to do something about these things and it spiraled out of control. They keep
Right.
getting these other. So that's why there's a bunch of like these invasive species in Australia,
Yeah.
because they kept trying to solve the problem by bringing in other
Right.
predators for these things.
Huh. I didn't know that was I knew Florida had that real bad, but
Yeah, with the pythons.
yeah, but aren't there like isn't there shit like that in Australia to kill those cats? There's not like snakes everywhere, or like fucking those spiders over there would eat those cats.
I don't know.
That's crazy. They don't have any predators.
Don't.
guess-
Not enough because there's so many of them. Think about
Right.
how many a litter can have.
Right.
And how many they can keep having. And the big thing with cats is, and this is true all over the world with feral cats, is they decimate the songbird population.
Oh yeah, I bet.
In North America, billions of songbirds a year are murdered by cats.
yeah.
Billions.
They're little monsters, dude. They're made
Mhm.
to kill shit. Like they're designed. I mean, if you look at just a house cat and a lion, and if you shrunk a lion down to the size of the house cat,
Same thing,
yeah,
yeah.
they're not much different.
Not at
you
all.
know?
They're-
One has a little bit bigger teeth, a little sharper claws, but for the most part,
yeah.
they're built the same way. You know, the way they move and
They're
stuff
just
is.
cats. They're murdering machines.
They are. Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, so they've got a big problem with the cats, and yeah, all kinds of things. Those scrub bulls.
What is that?
It's like those water buffalo in Australia.
Oh, okay.
Those have no predators. They're everywhere, and they're real
Really?
bad, and they're dangerous. They're super dangerous.
I guess there aren't really like now that I'm thinking about it, there's all kinds of dangerous stuff in Australia, but like I guess most of them aren't that big, right? Like they don't have like mountain lions and shit. They just got like spiders and snakes and nothing that would really kill a water buffalo.
A water buffalo will fuck you up.
Oh yeah, I mean anything. that big will
Crocodiles?
fuck you up. Yeah, crocodiles probably kill some water buffalo, right? But probably not enough.
I don't know, but you got to worry about them too.
Yeah, yeah. Fuck like
Crocs, man. I ain't trying to be around no
the
crocodile.
saltwater ones.
Uh huh.
Who was it? I was listening to. You like the Joe Rogan podcast, right?
I've heard of it.
I love the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm gonna be on it one day,
Nice.
someday.
Hell yeah.
I have this plan to like make a viral video and send it to all of his friends, and then get one of them really interested to email him. Anyway, I have. I was listening to it, and there was some guy that was like, he was some kind of nature dude. But anyway, he was telling this horrifying story about like they were in Australia and they were going down some canal, and all of a sudden he could just see crocodiles, saltwater crocs that he said like the body width. He said it was like 8 foot long or something ridiculous, just the width. And he was saying that one of them just decided like they were swimming by the boat, and one of them just decided to like jump up and grab his friend and take him.
No
take him
way.
out. Yeah, and he was like, "There's nothing you can do. Like you can't save your friend from a crocodile that big. Like if it decides to pop out and grab you, you're gone."
Wow.
Yeah. Australia's a crazy place, dude.
What would you even do? Just like, okay, I'm next.
Can't do anything. I mean, you lay down in the boat, like try not to be the next one. Like,
Holy cow! Oh my gosh, it would be wow.
If you're in the water, dude, a crocodile that big, and I mean, we can't.
What
do
were they
shit
were
in the
they were in a
water.
canoe or something?
Yeah, they were in a boat. Like, I forget what they were doing, but they were going through some kind of like
They
river.
needed to be in a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to go down crocodiles that are in a boat next to crocodiles that are bigger than your boat?
Yeah. I don't remember the context. I think he might have been like a surfer or something. Or maybe he was telling like a story about. All I remember is that it was the most terrifying crocodile story I'd ever heard in my life. And I remember it was like.
They're all terrifying. Crocodiles are terrifying.
Yeah, they really are.
You know,
They're
they got
dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, they have certain villages where like almost everyone in that village is missing an appendage.
Yeah. Yeah. Where did I hear that?
It's like somewhere in the Congo or something, probably.
Yeah, and they sent in like some kind of like hunting expert to kill a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you can't live without water. Like they couldn't just not go get water. They couldn't never bathe or never drink, So like they had to go down there.
I mean, you're just like any other animal at that point.
Right.
The crocodiles know the animals have to come to water.
Mm-hmm.
So they just wait for you and gotcha, bitch.
Yeah.
Give me that arm.
People don't know, man. It's like one of those things that like people were like, save the polar bears and stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, global warming's probably not bad. And, but I mean.
Better than global freezing.
Yeah. But also there's like villages, that are just being terrorized by polar bears. And can you imagine? Polar bears are just like a crocodile. If a polar bear walked up and just ate your friend next to you, what are you going to do? Nothing. You can't do anything about that. Your polar bear just ate your friend.
You're either running or you're trying to beat it off with something.
Right, and that wouldn't do anything. Like, if it wants to kill you, it's going to kill you.
Polar bears are the most dangerous bear out there. They've been known to hunt humans down. Like, actually hunt them down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They can, I've read something one time that said they can smell through 3 feet of ice.
Oh, I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any of those, like, people are just so far removed from that,
City people are.
Yeah. But it's weird, though, because it's only been, 200 years since we haven't really had to worry about, like, wildlife killing us?
I mean, in America, hasn't been that long. There's people that have to worry about it all the time in other countries.
That's true. Yeah.
Jungle people.
Uh-huh.
They got to worry about that stuff.
Oh, the Amazon's one of the scariest ones.
Yeah, exactly.
They got crazy shit in there.
Mm-hmm.
Big cats. Big cats is another one that if a big cat just attacks your friend, you're not saving it,
That's why we have guns.
Yeah.
Bows and arrows and whatever else. Yeah, we're just little meat sticks walking around, ready to be gobbled up by whatever wants us.
Yeah,
we weren't designed to be out in the wild at all.
Nah, I mean,
we're designed to have houses.
Yeah. Well, we're designed to, like, work in teams, right? And build weapons and stuff to fight them off. But if you take that away from us, then, we're just meat sticks walking around.
A couple of Slim Jims just walking around waiting to get gobbled up by a big cat.
Yep. Yeah. Animals are fascinating, though. Like, would you go to, if you could see a lion fight a bear, in the old school Coliseum days?
I'd love to see that shit. There's all kinds of things I'd like to pit against each other.
Yeah, it's pretty cruel, but, like, I would totally watch it.
I'd love to. The problem is just getting them to agree that they have to fight each other.
They would eventually, right?
I don't know.
If you just, like, they're territorial, right? If you just put them in a big area.
You would like to think so.
I bet eventually.
I don't know, though.
You know what would be even better?
Yeah.
To see, like, a tiger fight some, like, The Rock with, like, a bunch of armor and shit and a giant sword, to see if, like, there's a human being out there that could kill a tiger.
Sure. Yeah. I guess there would be. If we had a bitch tiger and a badass dude, you could get the right combination.
Yeah, you'd have to have. But
depends on what the weapon. If you could choose your own weapon, but you'd have to have limitations. Like, I guess you couldn't have a projectile type.
Yeah, it'd have to be like hand-to-hand combat.
Spear, knife, machete.
Even then, I don't know, dude. That thing would be on you so quick.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What would you want? What would your weapon of choice be for a tiger or a lion?
I think I'd want to be like 5 times bigger than I am right now.
You got to take it head on, I think I would have I'd have my left arm wrapped with like a big old piece of leather. And then in my right arm, I'd have maybe like a 9-inch dagger. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, all right, I'm letting him come at me. And I'm letting him grab my big leather-wrapped arm. And while he's on that, I'm jabbing him with the knife.
Hey, that could work.
So let him grab you. Let him get you. And he thinks he's got you. Then,
yeah, you'd have to get him in the neck, right?
Yeah. But that's why you got him right here. He's
Right.
biting you right there, and you can just get him real quick with a couple. I think that's the move.
That would probably be good for like someone like our size, like normal sized people.
Any size. I think The Rock would have.
You think so?
What's he gonna do?
But if you can carry like a really big sword and use that thing quickly, like if you're that strong, like why not?
Because it's too slow. If you miss, or if you that's not gonna kill it the first time.
I guess that's true.
You have to be a super sword expert. You have to be a craftsman.
Full circle.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably a good point, because that way you can let it get like right. You can get right up on its neck, and you got a second to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's got you, but he just has your leather bounded arm.
Yeah, but what if you stick your arm out like that, and he just goes right over that shit and grabs your face? Then you're fucked.
You got a hard skull. It's going to take him a quick minute to get through it, and you've still got to keep your wits about you and still get a couple jabs in there. You just get a couple jabs.
I don't even know if you'd have to try to keep your whips about you, because I think adrenaline would be pumping so hard, that you would just be fully in the moment.
Yep.
All you would be thinking about is how you're going to kill this fucking thing and not die. I don't think I've ever had that much adrenaline in my entire life. Probably be a crazy high.
It probably would be. There was some chick that said, it was one of those chicks that got like her arm bitten off by a shark, one of those surfer chicks.
Mm-hmm.
She said there was no pain, but the adrenaline rush, she said it was orgasmic.
Wow.
She said it was so incredibly amazing.
Yeah, I bet.
Of the adrenaline rush and the dopamine, she said it was orgasmic. Can you imagine how gangster that is to say that you got your arm bitten off and you basically had an orgasm? That's a bad shit. Hey, good luck pleasing that woman. Like, how do you please her after? Like, what? Good luck to her husband or future boyfriends, whatever. You are not gonna ever give her an orgasm like that.
No. Well, she's probably never gonna feel anything like that in her entire life, right? That's like a once in a lifetime thing.
Not twice. She's got 2 arms. She could go back out.
I mean, it's possible,
right? Because you imagine the creep that she would be if she like, I just have to have it so bad one more time, and just dangles it in front of some shark or something, like one of those cages, like shark cages, and just puts her arm out there. I have to have it so bad. That was such. You know what I mean?
That would be
the ultimate lover, the great white shark. Doesn't even have to penetrate you. Just
I don't know,
takes a limb.
I bet when she said orgasmic, I bet she didn't like mean it as
no,
an actual
I'm sure it wasn't.
thing.
No, but probably like that same kind of euphoria of like, oh.
Yeah, probably like different, but like maybe even better,
I don't know. I'm just going off with her words.
Yeah, I feel like it would probably be better just because you can have orgasms, your whole life. That only happens like once.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people experience that.
Yeah, she can have it. I don't need an orgasm that bad. Not like that. I'm sure it was wonderful, lady. I'm sure it was the best that you've ever had. I don't need to have that kind of.
It's so temporary too that it probably wouldn't be worth it. Like to have a near-death experience just to feel crazy for 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, they've got drugs for that, right?
I don't think they had a drug for that.
Yeah, they could.
That makes you feel that way.
I don't know.
That amount of adrenaline.
People say crack's pretty good. I don't know.
They say that, but like
they say it's a pretty good high, or the heroin high is supposed to be a pretty good one, but
yeah, well, I mean, it's got to be for people to sell their shit for it, right? But
I guess
I don't know though. I mean, I've never done heroin, but I've done like some opiates before. I've had painkillers.
Oh, sure.
I just feel like, but I've also had crazy adrenaline rushes, and I couldn't imagine.
They're completely different, aren't they?
Yeah, I feel like if I would have taken double the amount of painkillers, I'd just be really sleepy. But if I'd had double that amount of adrenaline, it's tough for me to even really fathom what that would be.
You'd conquer the world.
Yeah.
If we could bottle that stuff up.
Yeah, imagine if they
again,
had
I
a
guess
pill
that's
for
crack,
that.
right? Is that just crack?
I bet it's better than crack.
Double, yeah, probably. Crack just gets you close to it.
I feel like crack just feels good, but it's mostly just that I think it's more with drugs like that, it's mostly that you just feel terrible without it, It's not that it makes you feel that good. It's just that at a certain point, if you don't have it, you feel like dog shit.
I don't know. I just happen to have some here, so let's go ahead and turn this off and get some crack going.
But it's like that. Have you ever heard of that rat park experiment?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like how they
just altered their environment.
I think that's what it is for a lot of people that are hooked on drugs. Is they just have
they're in the wrong environment.
Yeah, they got a shitty life. You know, no one starts smoking crack if everything's going well. Right? I mean, it's rare.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. I think there's a lot of people that just fall into it because they want to experiment. Maybe things are going good.
Yeah.
Maybe not great. I don't know.
Well, that happens, I think, when you get like the small town where everyone's doing meth, you know? Fucking 80% of the people you know are doing meth, then you're probably going to do meth. Probably going to at least try it.
Ugh.
Maybe you'll get hooked, maybe you won't.
Meth, that's a gross one, too. Do they have that on do the bangos? God, what are they called? The Australian rednecks?
Oh, I'm sure they do meth.
They got to, right?
Probably.
That's probably the big white person, poor person worldwide is probably.
Because you can make it in a bathtub.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah,
probably. Yeah. Either that or gin. Bathtub gin.
That shit, like, that's the stuff that'll make you go blind.
Yep. I don't know, those moonshiners, they got that shit down. Those crazy ass rednecks that can't read or write. But boy, can they make some mean moonshine, and you can trust it.
They've been doing it for generations,
yeah,
man.
They got that down. You ever had some like good Missouri?
I've had.
You gotta say Missouri. Some Missouri moonshine.
I have a friend that lives in Arkansas, and she's brought some up before.
Ozark, some Ozark moonshine.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It is good, and what's crazy is that it tastes good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have I'm sure you've had the apple pie.
Yep. It's just straight poison. Like, how do they make it taste good?
I don't know.
Because I've had Everclear too, and that tastes like gasoline. You know?
Oh yeah, you can't do that.
And it won't get you. It'll get you almost as drunk, but still, like, they make moonshine. It's
Moonshine's so good.
It is good.
I don't know how they do it.
I don't either. We probably don't want to know, really. You know.
Yeah, rednecks. If you're out there, hit me up on Instagram and send me some free moonshine, please.
Would you have a moonshiner on?
I would have a moonshiner on. I would love to have a moonshiner on.
See, but that's, you know.
I should get one on. I'm going to find me a moonshiner. Putting that out there. Good idea. I'm always looking for guest ideas. Moonshiner would be dope.
But do you want to have, would they want to have, like, their illegal business broadcasted?
I will just not have the camera on them.
Okay.
I actually have, I've talked to, I ran into a drug dealer downtown, and I brought it up to him. I was like, hey, man, I have a podcast. I'd like to be in the side of the mind of a drug dealer.
Yeah.
And I said, I won't have you on camera or anything like that. And he's like, yeah, let me think about it. I might do that. So,
that's
cool. I think it'd be kind of interesting to see I don't know how big of I don't know. You just see what a Kansas City drug dealer's life would be like.
I've actually thought about that because I could tell you some crazy stories, man. And I've thought about that, like, with my scheme to get on Joe Rogan, that's like part of it. It's like I used to be into some illegal stuff, and I could tell you some fucking bananas stories.
Right.
But then also I'm trying to promote myself as an artist, so obviously I have to, like, say my name and, like, all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I've been wondering about that, like, leading up to this podcast. Like, is it worth it to tell these fucking wild stories that would make for a great podcast? But what if I get, like, a good job in a month from now, and then someone hears this podcast and it's like, oh, I don't really know about all that.
Well, then you have a lawsuit on your hands, my brother.
You think so?
Shit, yeah. They can't just go back and be like, hey, this guy said this stuff X amount of months ago. Let's fire him.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
For what term? Like,
what if it's
basis?
before they hire me, though?
That's what I'm saying. They should have done their due diligence then and figured this shit out beforehand. Otherwise, it's already out there and they hired you. Can't fire you now. This was already out there months ago. If they didn't find out then, they weren't worried about it then, they should be worried about it now.
Yeah, but I'm looking for a job right now, though. Do you think if someone Googles Kyle Selley, do you think this podcast would come up?
Probably.
Really? They'd have to
at some point. It depends on how deep I don't know. I assume they would find it somehow whenever it goes out.
How deep are we into the podcast right now?
I don't know, an hour and a half or so. Who knows?
They probably wouldn't listen that far in, right?
I wouldn't think so. Very few people do.
Probably
3 people.
You want to hear a crazy story then?
Always.
I have a lot of crazy stories, but this one is, like, hands down the craziest story.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, back in the day.
How old are you right now?
I'm 26.
Okay.
So, like, I probably, until I started at KCI, until I went to Tasmania, I used to sell a lot of drugs and just do reckless shit.
What kind of drugs?
Mostly pot, because back then, that was right when, so I won like $1,200 in this art competition.
Oh, nice.
And that was like the same year that they legalized it in Denver or in Colorado.
Okay.
So I had all this money. So and I got this plug in Denver. So I basically drive out there, buy, you know, the same amount of, like double the amount of pot that I could get here for the same price and drive it back. And dude, the money that you could make at that time, like now the prices have dropped, but at the time the prices were high and the prices there were so low, it's since balanced out. But for a period of about 3 or 4 years, you could make as much money selling pot as you could selling cocaine, you know, if you were willing to drive across the border. It's very sketchy now. I don't recommend it. But for when at first they didn't know what the fuck to do about it. Anyway, so I was doing that. I was selling a lot of pot. I was hanging out with not good people. They did a lot of pills and sold a lot of pills and stuff. And so I would occasionally, you know, they'd be like, hey, Kyle, can I get some weed? And they're like, oh, yeah, you know, you're short $5. And they'd be like, here's 5 pills that are all worth like $3 each. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So, and, you know, I just wasn't careful back then. Later on, I got way more careful after I got into like some trouble and stuff. But I was just didn't even think about it, you know.
Right.
Somehow was just not worried about it, even though I definitely should have been. So I was riding around with all this stuff in my car. I was working at Best Buy at the time, and they fired me over some bullshit. So I went up to it, and I worked in car audio at the time, and we got like 75% off of Kicker car audio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
So I went up, the day after I got fired, I went up to a different Best Buy that I didn't used to work at, and I ordered all this stuff online, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I was leaving, I realized I needed an SD card for, like, I was taking like a photography class or something at the time. So I take that SD card, and I just decided I'm going to steal it, right? Because I was like, fuck Best Buy. Like, it was like, you know, $8. I could afford it, but I was like, fuck Best Buy.
Right.
So I just take it, right? Go over, look at the guitars. All of a sudden, I see, like, the employees and stuff. I'm, like, looking around me, and I'm like, okay, something's up. Like, they know, you know, because they were, like, kind of, like, watching me and, like, talking on their walkie-talkie and, like, walking away and, like, coming close. And I was just like, this isn't normal. So I go to leave. They're, like, lined up at the door. It's like a barricade. So it was so awkward because I just go by.
Just regular store employees?
Yeah, just the employees were, like, lined up at the door. And I was like, oh, this is awkward. So I just kind of walked by them. They call the cops. I run over to Walmart across the street. I'm like running around through Walmart. I see a cop. I'm like running over there. I see another cop. And then I see like the security guy from Best Buy coming this way and like 2 cops coming this way. And so I like run outside of the home and garden area and there's another cop car there. And I was like, all right, I'm fucked. So I get busted.
Over an SD card?
It's theft, man. It's petty theft.
$8.
It was in.
Or whatever, an SD card, maybe $20. Whatever
it was in Overland Park. Yeah, so
Jeez.
They take that shit. See, they got nothing else to do in Overland Park. They were probably excited, you know?
Right.
Like, oh, someone broke the law and it's not a traffic violation. So anyway, they take me to like, they have like a holding room straight up in Best Buy. And so they take me there, you know, they're like, you stole this. And it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, you know. It's pretty much all over. It's just petty theft. It's not really that big of a deal.
Right.
Then they say, can we search your car? And I was like, I'd rather you not. You know, I got some shit to do. I don't really want you to search my car. And they're like, okay. So one of them goes out there because he was like, we need to get the VIN number from your car. And I'm like, okay. So he goes out there, and I hear on the other guy's radio, he's like, I see a grinder. I'm going to search the car. I was like, you can't do that. That's illegal. And it was. But they just did it. And, dude, they found like 7 or 8 different pills. There was like a felony each. They found a big thing like that used to hold, like it had like 3 ounces of weed in it, but it only had like a little bit at the bottom. They found like $3,000 in cash. They found a pipe that had been used, and then they didn't find, I hope they're listening to this podcast, because they didn't find, I had a big thing of Kool-Aid. The top was filled with Kool-Aid, but the bottom was hollowed out, like you could unscrew it. And I had like a bunch of acid and then a scale in there that had like residue all over it.
Oh, shit.
They didn't find that shit though. So they come back in, they have all this paraphernalia on me and like all this stuff. And so I did really good on my feet. I lied. And I told them like the money was from like, I told them I had like won an art competition and just got my tax return back. And they were like, well, were you selling weed at JCCC? I'm like, no, I don't sell weed. My friend just gave me like this big thing when I was totally like just selling weed at JCCC. And I told him the pills. I told him that I got it from I just made this up on the spot.
I wouldn't have told him shit. I'd be like, you can talk to my lawyer.
Well, this was the thing, was they were like trying really hard to get me to snitch, and I was like, no, I'm not going to snitch.
Were these the cops?
These were the cops. They were like really trying to get me to snitch on the pills.
Mm-hmm.
So then I decided that I really didn't want to go to jail because they were saying they were going to let me go. So, and this was a terrible idea, I found out later.
Mm-hmm.
But I snitched, but I gave them all fake information.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like started making stuff up. I told them I got it like at this tattoo parlor from like this guy and this guy, or like made up names. Like it was all bullshit. And so they're like, okay, like they believed me and they let me go with this giant ticket. So a couple of days later, luckily, my mom worked in the lingerie department at a store I won't name. And then another lady that she was friends with, her husband happened to do, he was a lawyer and he specialized in people bringing stuff across borders, like state borders or country borders or whatever.
Okay.
So he met with me. He was a nice guy. I owe him a lot. But he was like, you know, he was confident. He was like, you're not going to go down for anything that they found. That'll all get thrown out because the grinder was an all black grinder. And he was like, if there would have been a pot leaf on it or something, and the pipe that they found was inside of a box.
Mm-hmm.
So like they couldn't see the pipe. They couldn't see anything that actually would give them a reason to search my car.
Right.
So I was like, okay, cool. That's good news. And he was like, yeah, except for you lied to them. And that's a felony. And I was like, oh, that's not good.
Lied to them about what?
I gave them a bunch of fake information so that they would let me go. Because they thought that I snitched,
mm-hmm.
but I just made up a story.
Right.
And so he was like, they're gonna be talking to you in the next like 2 or 3 days. And they're only going to have to talk to you one more time to find out that you lied about all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, so what you got to do, what he recommended is that I go to rehab, because he was like, well, are you smoking a lot of pot right now? Anyway, they found all these drugs in your car. Like, it's not a stretch to say that you have a drug problem. So he was like, I know you don't have a drug problem,
mm-hmm.
but you're going to tell the court system that you have a drug problem. And if you stay anywhere around here, they can still come question you. So he was like, you got to go. He was like, there's this place in Florida. So we found this place in Florida that worked with our insurance that like, it was normally like $500 a day, but with our insurance, it was like $50 a day.
Oh, wow.
It was like crazy cheap,
Nice.
right? Which we should have been suspicious of, but I just went because I didn't want to go to jail.
Okay.
You know? Because he was like, you know, you're going to go there for 2 to 3 weeks. I'm going to sort things out here. They won't be able to talk to you while you're there. By the time that you get back, it'll be 2 or 3 days. Then you'll have the trial. You'll be able, you know, they won't know that you're back necessarily. They won't be able to bother you. You have the trial. Once all that gets thrown out, it won't matter that you lied. They won't be able to question you about it anymore because they won't have anything to hang over your head, because the only thing you're going to get charged for is petty theft.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just plead guilty to that, and then they can't leverage you with anything.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool. That works. That's good. So I get there. I'll just start like from the beginning. So I get there.
Florida.
Yeah, I get to Florida.
Step off the plane.
Uh-huh.
Who's someone picking you up with a little sign with your name on there?
Yeah.
Fireworks guy. Right?
Nah, I wasn't doing that yet at the time.
Okay.
I was just fucking around in community college. So this is like the funny. I could tell you a bunch of stories from everything that happened in rehab, but the funniest one is when I first get there and I first sit down. I sit down with a dude from New York who's like a 60-year-old black guy that sells heroin. And there was a crackhead stripper and another dude that did like stocks and stuff,
mm-hmm.
right? Like this rich white dude that used to like sell a lot of drugs, but now he just did a lot of drugs and did stocks. So, but he was like a 4-time felon. Anyway, so this dude, the 4-time felon stock dude, he was like, hey, have you been to see the doctor yet? And I was like, nah, man, I like just got here. And the guy that brought me over here had like to go do something. So I'm just sitting here playing spades with you guys now.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, they were like, let me see your phone. And so I was like, all right, just stay where I can see you. Let him use my phone. And he was like, all right, look, man. He was like, when you go see the doctor, he was like, what drugs are you on? And I was like, I just smoke pot, man. Like, I haven't taken any like drugs, you know, anytime recent. And he was like, all right, well, when you go see the doctor, you tell him that we're taking like this many Xanax and this many Oxycontins and that you just quit like 2 days ago, or maybe it was 3. whatever. He's like, you tell him all this stuff, and he's going to give you these drugs. And he was like, I'll give you $10 a pill for these drugs. And I was like, well, that's a lot of money. Like, because dude was loaded. And he was like, you'll get, you know, one of each of these pills 3 times a day for like a week. I'll give you $10 a pop. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. So I went and I go and I tell the doctor everything he told me to say. The doctor prescribes me all this shit. And so then I go to take the drugs the next day to bring it to him. And I remember it was like this Jamaican nurse. She was like, no. She was like, you have to take them right here in front of me. And I was like, I don't want them right now. And like those drugs, basically, it's Suboxone, which means that if you're on opioids, it'll instantly make you go into what's it called?
Cardiac arrest.
No, where you like detox. It will detox you instantly from the drugs.
Okay.
So you'll feel terrible. But if you're not, and same with, there's one that was like a benzodiazepine anti one.
Mm-hmm.
But since I didn't have any of that shit in my system, it just made me super high. So I had to take these. And for real, man, the highest that I've ever been in my life was when I was in rehab.
Really?
Because they made me take these strong-ass drugs 3 times a day.
Dang.
And I couldn't sell them. I was just taking them. And I was just sitting outside in the sun, just chain smoking cigarettes, like high as fuck, playing spades a little bit. Like, it was just like 3 days of that. Like, I barely remember it. I just remember I was like high as hell for all of it.
Nice.
I wasn't hungry. I didn't like eat anything. I just smoked cigarettes and
Really?
laid in the sun. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is a pretty funny story. So anyway, that happens, and then I get moved to like out of it's like a detox house, which like I didn't really have to detox. I was just getting high the whole time. You know?
Right.
So they moved me out of there, and I was like, hey, I'm supposed to go back like next week. And they're like, well, you can't go back till we clear you. And I was like, well, can't I just leave? And they're like, yeah, but then your insurance isn't going to cover anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, you're going to owe us like $4,000 if you leave right now. And so basically what that place was a scam, that there was like everyone there had like the same 2 or 3 different insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
And what they would do is insurance would repeatedly pay for like 2 months worth of you being there. So everyone that went there would stay there for 2 months until insurance was up, and then they would let you go. Because if you tried to leave before those 2 months, they would say, well, you're not ready yet. We're not going to sign off on you leaving, and then insurance wouldn't pay.
Wow.
So basically everyone that went in there stayed for 2 months. So I had to be in rehab for 2 fucking months.
Holy cow.
It was an experience, dude.
Dang.
Yeah.
And you just thought you were going for a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep. And I ended up being in Florida for 2 months with a bunch of druggies.
Was it nice? Was it like the facility cool? Like, or was it like, what was the facility like? Did you have freedom?
It was kind of nice. I had no freedom. I went to the beach like twice because of like good behavior.
Uh-huh.
People were like, I saw a couple people like smoking crack, like, cause we stayed in like essentially like a halfway house, but it was monitored and you couldn't leave. And people were doing like a lot of like Robitussin and stuff like that. Like we'd go to the store and they
Robo
would, like,
kids.
Yeah, they'd steal shit. They did a lot of triple C's. They'd like steal those. One of them got caught. And so it was just like crazy people for 2 months. There was some more. I made some friends. You know? All of them were like older than me. They were all like mid-30s.
Was it all dudes? Oh, wait, no, you said there was a crackhead chick. So it was like a mixed.
It was both. Yeah. Well, one side was, so like the place where we stayed, it was like a little swimming pool in the middle, and there was like some seating, and then there was like a like small apartment building on one side and one on the other side, and it was all fenced in with like a lock on the fence, and one side was boys and one side was girls. So you lived in like an apartment building with like 3 other people.
And you just had to stay on the grounds, the apartment grounds, the whole time?
Yeah, they'd let you leave. Like we went to like 3 AA meetings a day. I've been to so many AA meetings. And we would go to one at like 7 a.m. and then we'd go to one.
This sounds awful.
Dude, it was not
sounds
fun.
Brutal.
It was not fun. It was the closest I've ever been to jail. It wasn't.
Sounds like it, yeah.
It wasn't as bad as jail, you know. Like we were in Florida, you know. They took us to Dunkin' Donuts sometimes, but
how was the food?
It wasn't terrible, but it was okay.
Okay.
You know, it definitely wasn't like, it was edible, but it wasn't, I wouldn't call it good.
Right.
The garlic bread was good, actually. It was pretty good.
So that change, did that do good for you? The whole, at least getting out, and I mean, you didn't have to.
Not really, man. It's kind of like one of those things.
Just a waste.
They say like like you sell weed and then you go to jail and then you graduate to cocaine.
Right.
You know, it was kind of like that. It was more just like I learned a lot about drugs, and it kind of just made me want to try more drugs. 'Cause people were telling me how awesome all these other drugs were.
And drugs are awesome, right?
Drugs are fun.
People love drugs.
You can overdo it for sure, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It was an eye-opening experience. I would say, yeah, it probably was good for me, you know, because before that I was like teetering on like drug addiction. Like I was just popping pills because my friends were popping pills, and probably most of them are all addicted to drugs now at this point, you know.
Yeah.
So like I think it was good that I got educated on it, because after that I didn't do it as flippantly. You know, it
Nice. Well, that's cool. I mean, at least you took something good from it.
Yeah, but it cost a lot of money, and it was
Better than a felony charge.
yeah. All I had to do was house arrest for 2 months because of the theft.
At least you're at home.
Mm-hmm. Which even then I kind of cheated on that, because I didn't have the ankle bracelet. I had a thing that I had to blow into that took my alcohol volume.
Okay.
And then I had it had a camera on it to prove that it was me blowing into it. And I would get a text on my phone, but I had like 15 minutes before they would call me and like make me do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I could go like
wherever you wanted, 15 minutes.
Yeah. I just had to watch my phone and make sure that if I did get a text, I had to be home in 15 minutes. So, yeah, it wasn't that bad. And overall, I would say, like, I mean, I got a crazy story out of it, you know?
Heck yeah.
I would say overall, I don't regret it.
What's the pot scene like in Australia?
You know, I didn't smoke a ton of pot in Australia.
I mean, is that something you would worry about? I mean,
they're way more strict about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, if you became an Australian, would you give up smoking pot, or would you?
Oh no, you can still smoke pot. Like, they're just, I mean, you just got to do it in your home. You know, you don't want to walk around smoking pot, and you probably don't want to sell pot.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how hard is it to get? Is it hard? I mean,
it's not that much different.
Really?
From here. Nah.
Do they grow it out there and all over the place? Like, where are they getting their pot from? The Outback?
I don't know. There was only like that couple I was telling you about that was in art school and music school.
Uh-huh.
They were the only people I really smoked pot with there, I think. I don't know where they got it from.
Huh.
But I know they're way more strict about drugs out there.
Right.
Yeah. And I met a few people from Malaysia. That's the craziest one.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to do anything there.
Nope.
You don't even want to spit on the ground there.
If you sell drugs there,
they'll kill you.
Put you to death. Yeah. They'll cane you, I think, for chewing gum.
Yeah.
I
if
think
you spit your gum out or something, they'll cane your ass.
I think chewing gum is illegal, and if they catch you like spitting it on something, like a park bench, you put it under the bottom or something, they'll cane you. It's crazy.
America, baby. At least we don't have that going on.
Yeah, that's true.
We got our own issues, but at least we're not caning people for gum.
I know. People complain so much about America, and it does have its problems. But if you look at us compared to the rest of the world, like, things have never really been better.
No, we've got it fine. We're great here. People make a lot of, there's a lot of outrage culture right now where people get pissed off because we have it so easy. So they got to get pissed off at random shit that doesn't really warrant getting pissed off about.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It is like, an outrage culture of like, it's almost like people want to be upset, you know.
They got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
You can go to the store and get frozen meat that you didn't earn.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you're not working blood, sweat, and tears to hunt some animal down, protein down, and then slaughter it and gut it and drag it home to family and cook it up right then and there and then do it again 3 days later.
Yeah, people have it like so easy that it's
spoiled bitches. They couldn't handle them supplying their own food for themselves.
I wonder if it's because like we're just evolutionarily, like there's a certain amount of conflict that we're supposed to have in our lives.
Sure. Oh yeah.
When we don't have any of that conflict, we looked for it like in other places, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's part of why people like to get so upset about stuff.
That and people are on pills.
Yeah. Yeah. People are on those SSRIs and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff, you know, I say that, like, I hate to sound like I don't have sympathy for people that have, like, those mental issues, but I just hate when people act like they're helpless to it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think that pills probably help you.
They can help some people. Some pills can help some people, for sure. But they can exacerbate other problems, too, though.
Yeah, but, like, then these same people will just be terrible diet, you know, they don't exercise, and, like, they're, you know, they don't look for like a hobby or something that they can find that makes them happy besides just like watching Netflix, you know. And it's like all of those things matter way more than
It's
a
a
pill.
giant equation, right? It's not just one
Yeah.
thing. You have to add a whole bunch of things.
They want an easy fix sometimes. I think people do. You know,
Most
and
people do.
they don't want to like.
People are lazy when it boils down to it.
Yeah.
You know, they're soft.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
Trying to change your lifestyle to, you know what I mean? Like that's hard.
It's very hard. It's very difficult. Then it involves change, and we all know people don't like change.
Yeah.
People don't like change.
I feel like the SSRIs are equivalent to, well, maybe they're not. Maybe they're a little bit better than like those diet commercials that you see where it's like, just take a pill and you won't be fat anymore. Like,
Yeah.
Just take a pill and you won't be sad anymore. Like,
Yep.
nothing's that simple, right?
No, not long term.
Just like if you have like, you know, a heart condition, it's not like you just take a pill and you don't have you still need to exercise, and there's still a million other things that'll help your heart condition besides that pill.
Diet.
know? Yeah.
Diet and exercise. I mean, when it boils down to it, isn't that everything? What you put in your body and what you do to your body. I mean, you get one body, treat it good. You're not getting another one.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, I look at that all the time, these people. I mean, it's easy to judge because it's right in front of you, but it's just, I don't know why you would want to go through life looking the way, not necessarily looking, but just being as unhealthy as some people are.
It's an addiction.
It just seems so just difficult to go through life trying to go up and down stairs when you're carrying an extra 100 pounds of fat on you. Just
Yeah. Well, it's like a cycle, right? You know, like, I mean, you're super fat, you're depressed about it, so you eat like shit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million reasons. Yeah, and I don't know. It's difficult for everybody. I'm not gonna judge. It just sucks. It just sucks for you if you're really out of shape and carrying a lot of extra weight. I feel bad for you because it sucks. It sucks doing extra work like that.
And it's genetics too, you know. Like, it's almost unfair for me to even be saying some of this because I don't eat bad, but I don't eat great. I don't exercise a ton. You know, I have a physical job sometimes, but it's like, for other people, you know, they could be doing the same amount of work that I'm doing and they're fat and depressed. And in order for them to get to where I'm at just naturally, they got to, you know, do a whole bunch of extra work, which fucking sucks, you know? Like, it's hard.
Yeah, extra work's hard. Sucks, but you got to do it. Some people, everyone needs to do extra work.
Yeah.
Everybody can do, no matter what avenue of life or what work means to you, everybody can always do more.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of wasted time out there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that people act like it's so hard, and it is. But what's helped me one, like art school. People talk shit like art school is really easy, and it is easier because you're making art. You're not studying for tests as much, you know. You still are some, but it requires just hours, man. It requires a lot of hours, a lot more time.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, you can prepare for a test in 6 hours. You can't finish your big art piece in 6 hours. You know, it takes a long time. But I realized that through that, and then also like my professors, when I was doing it, I was like, man, art school is so tough. Like, I can't wait to get out of school. And then I noticed that they are working that hard like all the time, and they're not stressed. And I think it's something that like you just gotta set a standard for yourself, and you kind of just acclimate to that, you know. Eventually, like at first it's really stressful, but you do it for 2, 3, 4 years, and then you're just really high functioning. And it's not so stressful anymore.
Yeah.
You're just used to it.
Heck yeah.
Same thing if you get really lazy, though.
Right.
You just get used to it.
Well, people stop being lazy. Kyle, I appreciate you coming on, man. This was awesome.
Dude, this was awesome,
Cool,
man.
cool story for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
and
thanks.
I tell people how they can check your stuff out again, because you guys, this is really shit you have to look at. You have to witness this art because it's absolutely insane. And so, yeah, take this time here to say what you want. This is your time, baby.
All right. I guess the easiest way is if you go to kyleselley.com, KYLESELLEY.com. That has links to Instagram, Facebook, everything on there. If you go to the performance like we were watching earlier, it shows different processes. And, just explore. It's got all my old shit on there, too, a lot of sculptures and... but mainly firework art. You can read about me, my artist statement. Everything you need to know is right there.
Hell yeah.
I need to get you some artwork for these walls in here, man.
I'll take it.
Yeah?
Hell yeah.
All right, I'll work on something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
All right, cool.
Kyle, man, this was awesome. Give a fist bump.
Fist bump for sure.
Thank you, sir.
Big fan of the podcast, man.
Yeah.
Honored to be on.
Dude, thank you so much for saying that. And thank you, everybody, for listening, watching, however you consume this. We're out of here. Deuces.
All right.